Before Dwarf Fortress, Ton Adams was working on another game, a very different but similarly obtuse game set in a strange dystopian universe called America. The game was called Liberal Crime Squad. It started development in 2002 and development ended in 2006, though the last bug fix came out in 2013. To give some background for what was going on in the world at the time of development was going on right around the time that one country's citizens did that one thing to the Americans with the buildings in New York, and so the Americans decided to invade a completely different country. You know what I'm talking about. It was right before the AstroTurfed Tea Party movement coalesced in order to bring the world the worst takes on government spending seen in 3 decades. In many ways, this game feels to me like it was ahead of its time, but that might be because I was 11 years old when the final release dropped, and at that time I was more concerned with Pokemon cards than infiltrating the American government. Liberal Crime Squad looks like this, or it looks like this. The Unity version released by Cheshire Cat. The latest bug fix for this version was released in 2022 actually. In the game, you play as the founder of the Liberal Crime Squad, your latte-sipping revolutionary guerrilla movement. Your job is to recruit other misfits in this arch-conservative world to your cause, and utilize their diverse skills to infiltrate the American government one flag burning at a time. Have to deliver a brief content warning. It's actually not that brief. This game contains elements of, or hints towards, anything that I could imagine being upsetting to someone, so proceed at your own risk. Here's a top 10 Yikes Hall of Fame for you, just to give you an idea. Substance abuse, violence, though not graphic, child labor, domestic abuse, messy divorce, underage sex work, we won't be touching that one with a 10-foot pole, interspecies romance, death squads, LGBTQ+ rights and lack thereof, manipulating your friends into becoming terrorists. Now, the game doesn't force you to do anything, it's very open-ended and the revolution can be accomplished through completely peaceful means. There's also nothing overt or active about most of the heinous stuff, it's just mentioned as existing, and being something actors in the world can engage in. I'm gonna be here for a while. Osama, okay. We are the revolutionary Osama Rumsfeld. A new conservative era. Oh, this is interesting. So the first time I played, their names were different. Conservative President Shuttleworth ends his second term with approval ratings in the high 70s and is succeeded by hardcore arch-conservative Doug Kissinger. With conservatives sweeping into power in the House of Representatives and the Senate and a conservative majority in the Supreme Court of the United States, commentators are hailing it as the beginning of a new conservative era. President Doug Kissinger has asked the new Congress to move quickly to rubber stamp his radical arch-conservative agenda. The left seems powerless to stop this imminent trampling of liberal sanity and justice. In this dark time, the Liberal Crime Squad is born. It is Sunday the 1st, January 2017, and the nation is about to experience real change. So after going through character creation, my character has worthless stats except for persuasion, and free speech is still legal, so I set out to try to convert a few people to the cause of liberalism, and also buy a knife. First order of business was to convert a janitor at the local PD to my cause, so I have a sleeper agent on the inside. I grabbed a programmer at the e-cafe at the university so I can do cybercrime in the future. Then I went searching for someone with high seduction, though in retrospect looking for that in the same place I was finding programmers was not my brightest moment. So I tried going to the gentleman's club but was denied access because all my clothes were bought at H&M 8 years ago. Then I went to the crack house to recruit some sex workers, all in the name of the revolution. After this, I didn't figure out how to make enough money, so I got evicted. Then my carjacker got put before a jury, so I told one of my sleeper agents to defend her. Turns out I activated my sleeper agent prostitute and not my sleeper agent lawyer, so she got 8 months in prison. Because of this, I decided to restart and got Louis Bonaparte as my new founder. I recruited a handful of weirdos to be my top lieutenants, then I sent them off to do very effective agitational propaganda by spray tagging every wall at the Bin Laden apartments with our logo. Once they were wanted for 50 counts of vandalism each, I gave them all secret codenames and I set them to work recruiting the muscle. I also learned that I had a lawyer boyfriend, which I guess is cool. With my squad starting to take shape, it was time to engage in real liberal crime. So I started stealing laptops and smartphones from the rich people living at the downtown condominiums. With all this burglary experience, a plan was starting to formulate in my head. First of all, I wanted to escalate my money-making operations, so having learned nothing from my previous run, I opted for carjacking. It worked for about 5 minutes before my ace burglar codenamed Cat They Them was caught, got in a car chase, and was shot to death by the cops. Once that didn't work out, I got back to my plan. Step 1 was to acquire a new burglar, so I found a 75-year-old man. Step 2 was to break into the garment factory and liberate the sweatshop workers. Step 3 was to put them to work in my liberal and just sweatshop, making t-shirts for me to sell. Turns out liberating them probably just increases sympathy for our cause and doesn't allow me to start my own sweatshop, unless I have recruitment slots for new liberal agents, I guess. Also, there was apparently a terrorist attack in Chicago. We ran into some legal trouble while doing civil disobedience. Luckily, I'm sleeping with all the judges in the city, so we got 1 month prison for allegedly assaulting a cop. Pretty nice. With the extra money we got, we bought a printing press and started printing the Liberal Guardian. Then it's just a matter of waiting and grinding support by periodically striking at centers of conservatism like the AM radio station or the sweatshop. At this point, the Conservatives have pushed gun rights so hard that everyone can open carry an M1 Abrams tank. A decision they'll live to regret. This is most of the early game gameplay loop of Liberal Crime Squad, where you gradually build up the foundations of your organization. This is the slow road towards liberal victory, where you play it safe, print newspapers, sell t-shirts, spray tag graffiti, and convince your coworkers to vote for Al Gore. There is another risky and silly strategy that I found online called Cyberpunk Terrorist Horde Strategy ++. That's part of the beauty of this weird game. There are a lot of ways to approach it. This strategy revolves around training your crime squad for a full-on war with the forces of reaction. In this playstyle, you're expecting to get raided by the cops, the CIA, corporate mercenaries, and more. Your headquarters will be bombed with JDAMs dropped by F-22s of the US Air Force, and this is what you want. The strategy revolves around baiting the cops to lay siege to your premises, killing them all with prepared booby traps, and then leaving before the military gets involved. Over time, this transforms your sought liberals into hardened KHive elite liberals, capable of taking on several National Guardsmen on their own. Once you have your monsters ready, you go hunting for your Al-Qaeda, or the Conservative Crime Squad. The Conservative Crime Squad is constantly trying to undermine your efforts by the same methods you're using, so they have to be shut down sooner or later. Once you've kidnapped and murdered all of their members and the Conservative Crime Squad is done for, the war for the hearts and minds of the people begins. With the millions you've accrued from looting the property of the reactionaries, you have enough money to start your media empire. So your PTSD-addled liberal death squad start pumping out newspapers. With your millions of dollars, a victory in the marketplace of ideas is all but certain. Now you wait for election night.
Ciao, bello ciao, bello ciao, ciao, ciao. Una mattina mi sono alzato e ho trovato l'ingresso. Oh partigiano, portami via. Un bello ciao, bello ciao, bello ciao, ciao, ciao. Oh partigiano, portami via, che mi sento di morire.
That's a short introduction to Liberal Crime Squad, a game you've probably never heard of and one that could only really have spawned out of the conditions of early 2000s America. The game, as well as everything else I used in the video, is linked in the description as always. Thanks for watching.
Ciao, 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 e se io muoio di partigiano